I'm going to bring in Rabbi Uri Pilichowski, who is an educator and political commentator. Rabbi, thank you so much for joining us. Now, first, talk to us about the special meaning of Yom Kippur for the Jewish faith.
Thank you so much for having me. Yom Kippur is the most significant of the days on the Jewish calendar, also the happiest day. It's a day that the Jewish people gain atonement from God. It's a day of prayer, a day of introspection, and a day of repentance.
And also, as you just mentioned, it's a day of atonement, a day of reflection. But since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, this day also bears an even greater significance, meaning for the people of Israel. What were the lessons that were learned from the war in relation to the religious aspects here?
I think there was no Yom Kippur that was, I wasn't alive for it, but from what I've understood from people that were there, my father was studying in Israel at the time, and my neighbors that I've spoken to, I think it really brought the message home of how much our nation, as strong as we might be, are dependent on God. And the Yom Kippur War did not start off well for us. We took a lot of heavy losses, and it was only after about 2 or 3 weeks that we were able to turn the war around and be able to defend ourselves. I think that showed the world, and the Jewish people especially, just how much we are reliant on God's providence.
And Eric had just touched on this a moment ago, but I want to get your opinion as well. This obviously, over time in Israel, this day has become so special for even those who do not pray or fast. What can you tell us about Yom Kippur for those, for even the secular community here in Israel?
So I think one of the wonderful things about having a Jewish state and the privilege of having a Jewish state is that Judaism is imbued even among people who don't necessarily practice the laws as they're stated in the Torah. I think that it's become a national day of celebration and day of significance. Again, even for those that don't ascribe necessarily to the Yom Kippur that has traditionally been commemorated by our people. I think they see it as a day also of forgiveness, a day of being able to start anew and start afresh and be able to renew relationships, even with God and with their neighbors and their friends.
All right, Rabbi Uri Pilichowski, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure having you here on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Gemar Chatima Tova.